In the north end of the city,
I found the escalator was making an incredible noise. It sounded like it was self-destructing.
the noise from the escalator was so bad it was shut down while we were still in the station. Morrissey then examined the escalator closely.
That's at least a quarter of an inch, at least. The molding is loose. This is jutting out. This should be smooth to prevent someone from getting their hand or thumb caught in here as they're coming up.
Next stop, Government Center in the heart of Boston.
I noticed some of the steps were just, the tread was broken right off. The wider the gap, the easier it is for someone's foot or hand to get into that section.
Finally, to the aquarium station next door to one of the most popular tourist attractions in New England, the station where Kelsey Baird was injured.
Steps are in terrible condition. There's an excessive gap on each side. I don't know why the MBTA hasn't ripped these things out 20 years ago. No, they are not safe. In fact, if I was a state inspector, I'd shut them down today.
Following our visit, Dateline contacted the MBTA and told them what we found. The MBTA responded with this letter, stating, while some of our escalators may be old, they are not unsafe. Each escalator is certified annually by the Massachusetts Department of Public Safety. Regarding injuries on their escalators, the MBTA claims mechanical defects are not the problem, but human error accounts for the majority of incidents. Problems with escalators happen every week all over the country. Since we began our investigation, Dateline found cases involving injuries in New York, Pittsburgh, Washington, and back in Boston, where another child was trapped by the escalator at the aquarium station. With all those injuries, why hasn't the government cracked down on unsafe escalators?
For a number of decades, a number of concerned people have petitioned the Consumer Product Safety Commission to do something, and their response has been, there's no problem.
And who was the first person to petition the Consumer Product Safety Commission about escalators? Sister Mary Therese, back in 1978.
They chose to reject the petition. They said there is not insufficient evidence of danger to children.
Did you feel like you kind of got slapped in the face here?
Yes. I don't know how on earth they couldn't be interested in doing something.
But
Just
Sister Therese didn't give up. She heard about an invention that appeared to solve the problem that was hurting so many children on escalators.
An invention was made. It's wonderful. Now there is a way to close that gap.
Yet the escalator companies appear to want no part of this.
They want no part of it.
Why do you think they won't use this?
A hardness that goes into insanity.
What is this invention that Sister Therese and others claim could help prevent hundreds of escalator accidents each year? And why are escalator companies resisting it? The answers when we come back.
A story so powerful.
She's gone. It's my baby.
It could only come from today's headline.
Public defender Tim Dickey investigates why these outstanding debts are past due. Tonight at 10 on 5.
Marty Griffith, Sabrina Smith, and Tim Dickey, your Channel 5 public defenders.
From Studio 3B in New York, here again is Jane Pauley.
Returning now to our story, you've seen how easily you or your children could be injured on an escalator. Now, there's a device that could prevent many of those injuries. But why aren't steps being taken to install this innovation across the country? Once again, here's Chris Hansen.
It's really very simple. This is the step safety side plate that I invented.
For 30 years, Carl White has been an engineer in the escalator industry and has served as an expert witness in many cases involving entrapment injuries on escalators.
Having seen and known about this type of accident, it concerned me enough to think of some way of preventing it.
This is what White came up with, the step safety side plate. Doesn't look like much, but it's actually a specially formulated piece of plastic that fits onto the side of the escalator step. Quite simply, it fills in the danger zone between the step and the side of the escalator, where so many children are trapped and injured every year.
White's invention adds about $4,000 to the cost of an escalator. That's not a lot of money, considering new escalators cost, on average, more than $100,000.
If it's that inexpensive, why isn't the industry using your part?
I'm at a total, complete loss to know the answer to that question.
While escalator manufacturers have rejected White's invention, it is being used. and used successfully at a place that stands as a monument to 100 years of inventions, the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. Following several serious accidents here, the museum contacted White.
So at that point, you showed them your invention, and they actually bought it.
That's right.
The Smithsonian installed the safety side plates in 1992. Since then, there hasn't been a serious escalator injury in a tourist attraction that draws over 8 million visitors every year.
So because your invention is right there, it would be very difficult, if not impossible, for a child to get caught or clothing to get caught in there.
That's right. You can see it for yourself.
Yet the industry says Carl White's invention has not been tested properly. Carl White's out to make a buck, and we don't want to make Carl White a millionaire, essentially.
Well,
that's the word.
I
right?
think in the tradition of American free enterprise, those same companies make their fair share of money doing what they do. And I personally have no resentment, animosity, or jealousy toward them. And I don't know why they should toward me or any other inventor of someone who comes up with a better product.
It's not a cure-all to that problem. It's a step in the right direction.
George Strakosh spoke with us on behalf of the escalator industry.
But there, again, we're not into a proof positive type of situation.
Dateline contacted the leading escalator manufacturers, Otis and Montgomery, and the other companies through the industry's safety foundation. The manufacturers declined to talk with us, but the foundation recommended Strakosh, vice chairman of the industry's National Safety Code Committee, to talk about White's invention.
However, it's a proprietary item. It's sold by one company. He owns the patent to it, and he wants to make his money out of it. There's no question about it.
So are you saying that these escalator companies will not put this part on their product because they would have to pay this other company?
No, the person that pays is the buyer of the escalator itself. But again, even though the claim is that it has prevented the accident, there's no proof positive. It hasn't been around a long time.
Since 1989, we've had them on all of our escalators.
Rick Simonetta is general manager of MARTA, Atlanta's public transportation system. He says there's no doubt that White's device makes it a lot safer for the more than 400,000 people using MARTA's escalators every day.
There have been no injuries as a result of any entrapments. So we really think that they have been 100% successful. And we'll continue to put these on our new escalators as our system expands.
White's invention has been in use since 1983, but even recommendations like Atlanta's don't seem to have changed the industry's mind about the device. Otis and Montgomery, the two largest manufacturers, have sent letters like these to some of White's customers, warning them Otis is not persuaded the escalator side plates are either safe or effective. Some letters even warn of possible risks if the side plates are installed. White says this amounts to a scare tactic, and even claims the industry is blackballing him.
Do you think the industry will ever change its view of your invention?
As people high up in the escalator manufacturers have said off the record to me, the day your patent expires, you can be sure we'll adopt it and be using it.
But White's patent doesn't expire until the year 2000, and now some manufacturers have come out with devices to protect against sidestep injuries on their own escalators. But White says his invention is the only one that can be fitted to virtually all of the 30,000 escalators already installed and in use.
Do you think it comes down to a matter of cost? They don't want to have to pay somebody else because they don't have the patent?
I can't answer that, but it's quite possible.
So maybe because these big companies don't have the patent for this device, they're not using it.
Well, it's, you know, you've heard that statement before, not invented here, you know.
As the debate between the industry and White continues, escalators from Atlanta to San Francisco have been fitted with White's invention. And as for Sister Mary Therese, she continues to worry about children riding escalators.
I feel like these injuries are just falling down into a black hole, and everyone's forgetting about them. And I don't see any answers coming from industry itself.
Now, these escalator companies are likely going to say, this sister is very emotional. She had a nephew who was injured. She's found a mission, a crusade. Maybe she's a little too emotional.
The only emotion that I really feel in this is anger. And I think that all the parents who have had injured children would be even more angry than I. They didn't have a voice. And I just tried to be that voice.